Hello and thank you for joining our second webinar in our series about Plesk on Alibaba Cloud. My name is Ivan Butorin, I am the Manager of Education at Plesk, and today I'm going to show you how you can simplify WordPress management with the Plesk WordPress Toolkit on Alibaba Cloud. During this session, we will take a look at why the WordPress Toolkit is a must-have tool for web professionals and web agencies. I will show you the true power of the WordPress Toolkit, and then I will be answering your questions which you might have during this presentation. So I'm sure everyone here knows about WordPress. It's a top content management system that powers the third of all websites that run on the internet. Websites like TED, CNN, Fortune.com, Spotify, TechCrunch, NBC, and more are all using WordPress. Also, there's WordPress.com, a top blogging platform with more than 76 million blogs. WordPress is the most popular and fastest growing content management system. 60% of all websites that use any kind of content management system are using WordPress. And it has a huge ecosystem with more than 55,000 plugins and a vast community of developers and users. Everyone uses WordPress because it is easy to use, it is constantly evolving, and it has a huge community around it. Let's take a look at the life cycle of a WordPress website and see how much time is wasted on maintenance. First step is of course deployment. You need to download the WordPress distribution, unpack it, create a database, edit WordPress configuration file, and then go to the setup page to initialize your WordPress instance. This process might take 10-15 minutes, but it's still time wasted. Then you need to secure your WordPress website according to the best practices. It takes time and know-how to edit both WordPress and web server configuration and might take 1 to 3 hours of your time. Then you create content. I've marked this time green here because it's time spent productively. After you have published your website, you need to keep content updated. And updating content on the production website is not a good idea because it might not be approved yet, it might be a work in progress, so you need a staging environment where you can experiment and work with your content without the fear of causing site outage. To create a staging environment, you need to copy website files, create a duplicate of website database, edit WordPress configuration file, and point it to a new database. This operation might take you 30 to 45 minutes depending on the size of your website. After you update content, you need to synchronize those changes back to the production, and this may take even more time than creating a staging environment. You need to copy changed files to production, and then copy changes from the database if necessary. And you will be going through this cycle over and over again. Then of course a new version of WordPress comes out, and you need to update your website. And the same as with the content update, you cannot just update WordPress on production. Upgrade might break layout, and may break compatibility with installed plugins. So for upgrade you need again create staging environment, update WordPress on the staging, test that everything is working properly, and only after that update WordPress on the production. As you can see, a lot of time is spent on maintenance, and it only increases if you have many websites to work with. That time wasted drives web professionals and web agencies up the wall. They have to work with dozens of websites at the same time, and deploying, securing, updating requires a lot of routine actions. Logging into each WordPress website, editing the same configuration files, copying files and databases, and so on and so on. The more websites they have, the more routine they experience, the more routine they have to work through. And routine eats the valuable time that can be spent on content development or building relationships with clients. Sometimes this routine can lead to mistakes or force a web professional, especially if it's a freelancer, to cut corners, which can be disastrous, especially when dealing with updates or security. Web hosting providers who sell managed WordPress hosting have different set of challenges. They don't have to deal with the content development, staging, and so on, but they still need to help their customers with WordPress deployment and make sure that these websites are secure and up to date. And since resellers have hundreds of websites to work with, automation of security and updates is essential for them, because a single WordPress vulnerability on a single website can become a gateway for malware, which can affect the entire server and hundreds of customers on it. Resellers also require optimal use of server resources. When visitor comes to WordPress website, web server launches a PHP process, which takes about 64 megabytes of RAM per visitor. So that's a lot of RAM for a lot of websites. Hosting providers need some kind of caching technology that would really help them optimize resource utilization. Of course, there are third-party tools which can address these challenges by automating the routine and mass operations. However, most of those tools are command line and require certain technical expertise and experience from the user. That is why Plesk decided to step in and develop the WordPress Toolkit, a powerful and easy-to-use tool to simplify these tasks and save your time. We worked with web developers, designers, and agencies to learn about their workflows, requirements, and time-wasting operations. WordPress Toolkit has a lot of time-saving features. It provides one-click and automatic deployment of WordPress with custom set of plugins. Hosting reseller can create a standardized offer, a service plan, to install WordPress with a custom set of plugins on every new hosting subscription. WordPress Toolkit also automatically secures all WordPress instances with ability to apply additional security measures to many instances at once. There's also workflow for quick staging and sync back with easy configuration of the staging environment, such as enabling password protection, disabling search engine indexing, enabling debugging, and so on. And of course, the key feature of WordPress Toolkit is automatic smart updates that verify that update won't break the website before applying it. As I mentioned, WordPress Toolkit is an extension, and it is available from the Plesk extension catalog. It is also pre-installed on all Alibaba Cloud images, with the exception of Bring Your Own License images. To use the WordPress Toolkit, you need a license. WebAdmin Special Edition, which is a free edition available on Alibaba Cloud, has basic WordPress Toolkit with a one-click installation, automatic security, and manual updates. All other features require a full Plesk license, such as Web Pro and Web Host Edition licenses. Smart Updates function, which we will take a look in more detail during the demo, requires additional license. Without it, you can update WordPress manually and automatically, but there will be no automatic verification of safety of the update. And now let's take a look at the power of the WordPress Toolkit in action. So here I am on my Plesk server. This is the same server I have been working on in our first webinar. The only difference is that I have installed a Plesk Web Pro Edition license to have a full-featured WordPress Toolkit. First, let's deploy WordPress on a website. It is very simple. Just click on the Install button here. WordPress Toolkit does everything else for you. Downloads the latest version of the WordPress distribution from the WordPress.org, unpacks it, creates a database, and initializes the instance. You can also see that it secures the instance as well. And it's done. If you installed WordPress manually, it would have taken you 10 or 15 minutes. Here we are done in less than 1 minute. After a new instance is installed, WordPress asks me if I want to install some plugins. Let's do that. Here you can see the built-in plugin and theme browser. It pulls the information from the official plugin directory at wordpress.org. For each plugin you can see details such as description, installation instructions, FAQ, change logs, and reviews. To install plugin, you just need to click the Install button. Let me quickly show you around the WordPress Toolkit interface. Each WordPress instance is represented by a card. In the title, we have the domain name. Under it, a website screenshot. At first, the screenshot shows the theme installed on the website. However, later, WordPress Toolkit will update it to show the actual website. Under the screenshot, we have status indicators. Whether the website is protected with the SSL certificate, what is the website's security status, and if updates are available. On the right, we have a set of tabs that provide us with instruments to manage our WordPress instance. On the Information and Tools tab, we can see general information, a site title, current version, and a useful link that allows me to log in as a WordPress administrator without the need to enter the password. Also, I can quickly change the website title here. Under the Information section, we have tools. I will show most of them later, when working with the WordPress staging environment. The only thing I'd like to point your attention to right now is the Nginx caching switch. Nginx caching is available on Plesk for Linux, and it helps you make your websites faster and host more websites on the same hardware. You can tune the caching settings under the Setup link. On the Plugins tab, I can install, activate, update, and remove plugins without logging into WordPress itself. I can do the same thing with themes on the Themes tab. On the Database tab, I can access the WordPress database through phpMyAdmin. On the top right, we have buttons that help me filter my instances and switch views between cards, tiles, and minimalistic list view. Buttons on the top left give me mass management capabilities. With Check Security and Check for Updates buttons, I can find outdated or insecure instances. The list here shows only instances that were deployed by WordPress Toolkit or detected by it previously. By clicking the Scan button, I can find all WordPress instances imported from other servers or deployed manually. Let's click Scan to detect any such instances. And indeed, we found another instance with an older version of WordPress. Finally, I'd like to show you custom installation. You have already seen how easy it is to install WordPress with a one-click deployment. However, if you need more control over installation parameters, you can use custom installation. In custom installation, you can configure parameters such as administrative username and password. You can also choose WordPress version. Let's install an older version of WordPress so that I can demonstrate updates later. Here I can also select the predefined plugin set, which will be installed immediately after WordPress is deployed. I will demonstrate how to create these sets later. When you choose a set, you can see which plugins it includes right here. Next, I can change the site name from the default My CMS to whatever I want. Further down, I have control over WordPress database parameters, automatic update policy, and some advanced settings. Once I click Install, the WordPress Toolkit will deploy a custom WordPress instance for me. This time I'm not going to install any plugins, since I'm installing them from a plugin set. Next, let's take a look at WordPress Security. Applying common sense security measures can take a long time, especially if you have many websites to work with. Let me show you which security measures WordPress Toolkit applies automatically. Over here you can see critical security measures that are already applied. Changing the default administrator account's login name to prevent password brute forcing, changing the database tables prefix to prevent SQL injection attacks, tightening security on the WordPress configuration file, disabling directory browsing permissions, securing permissions on content directories, and generating security keys with which WordPress will be hashing and sorting user passwords in its database. These critical security measures are applied automatically on every new instance. Up here are optional security measures. It's your choice whether you want to apply them or not. Those include securing the permissions on content and includes directories, turning off XML RPC pinbacks, which can be abused for distributed denial of service attacks, and disabling script concatenation to prevent cross-site scripting attacks. Let's apply these measures now. Also, as you can see, you can revert some of these security measures back. You might need this since some plugins might stop working after you apply optional security measures. As you can see, the status of our website is now secure. Other statuses include warning, which tells us that optional security measures were not applied, and here we can see that unknown status. Unknown status means that WordPress Toolkit hasn't yet checked security settings of this instance. To find out the security status, click Check Security button. WordPress Toolkit will scan every instance and show you the results. Here we can see that example.com has 6 critical security measures not yet applied. Click here to see the details. And I can apply security to all instances at once by selecting them and clicking the Secure button. By the way, in the current version of WordPress Toolkit, only critical security measures are applied. Next release will allow you to choose whether you want to apply only critical security measures or both critical and recommended. So, with security dealt with, let's move on to updates. In this demo, I will be working with the Plesk Cloud website, because the domain name resolves properly to this server, which is very important for the Smart Updates feature. You will see why in a little bit. To view available updates, click on the View link near the Update status indicator. For some reason, it does not show me all updates, so I'm going to click Check for Updates button. Yeah, WordPress Toolkit found an update for my outdated website. With WordPress Toolkit, I can update WordPress itself, as well as its plugins and themes, all at the same time. Let's turn the Smart Updates on. Smart Updates is a great feature which allows you to see how the update will affect your website before you apply the update. To use it, you need an additional license. Without that license, you can still update WordPress safely. If anything goes wrong, you can roll back to the restore point which WordPress Toolkit creates before applying the update. Smart Update works by creating a full copy of your website and updating the copy instead of the production website. Then it contacts an external service to create screenshots of the production website and the updated clone, and compares these screenshots to detect any discrepancies. For Smart Updates to work, it is important that your website properly resolves to your server. Otherwise, the external service will not be able to create those screenshots. Here we are. Smart Update feature tested the update results and tells me I can safely proceed with the update on the production website. Let's compare how website looks before and after the update. I can do visual comparison of the website look by dragging split screen and switching between view modes. I can also switch to different pages of my website to see their status as well. Once I'm sure that update won't break anything, I can apply the update on the production environment. That's it. It's easy and safe to update WordPress with the Plesk WordPress Toolkit. After you have completed the update and are satisfied with the results, you can remove the restore point. By the way, each instance can have only one restore point at the moment. Another huge time waster is working with a staging environment. You cannot just update the content on the production. You need to make sure it works properly, looks great, and that it is approved by the customer. For that, you need a staging environment. Creating a staging environment can take up to 30 minutes for an experienced WordPress user. Let's see how fast WordPress Toolkit can do this. Open the website and click the Clone button. Cloning allows us to create a full copy of a website on a subdomain, which is by default called staging. But you can choose another name or even use an existing website for that. Click OK and WordPress Toolkit will copy all files, create a copy of the database, and adjust the configuration of the copied instance. How long cloning will run depends on the amount of content on your website, but it is much faster than if you did this manually. Here we have created a staging environment. WordPress Toolkit also allows you to quickly configure your staging environment. For example, I can disable search engine indexing, enable debugging, and adjust its parameters to suit my current needs better. Small note here. You have to close these messages manually. I can also enable password protection to allow access to the work in progress only for the authorized reviewers. After I have made updates to the staging environment and approved all changes, I need to apply them to my production environment. I can do this by clicking the Sync button. First, I need to select my production website from the list of the target instances. Down here, I can select what I want to copy from the staging to production. If I made changes in code only, I can leave the switch on files only. If I made minor updates to the text content on the website, I can copy database only. However, if I made a lot of changes in either content or configuration, I need to copy both. Before applying changes to the production, WordPress Toolkit will create a restore point on the production website. If anything goes wrong or you don't like the changes, you can always roll back to the restore point. Synchronization takes some time, but again, much less than you would have spent if you did this manually. After you have verified that synchronization went OK, you can remove the restore point. The final thing I'd like to show you today is automatic provisioning of WordPress. If you are a hosting provider, you can use this workflow to sell WordPress hosting without wasting your time on deploying and securing the WordPress on each new website. Before we go further, I'd like to step back a little bit and tell you that there are two modes in which Plesk interface works. The one you saw all this time is called Power User mode, and it is best suited for a single-tenant servers, where you are the only one working with Plesk. The other mode is called Service Provider View, and it is the best choice for the service provider because it has customer and subscription management as well as service plans. First, let's create a plugin set. Go to WordPress Toolkit, switch to the Sets tab, and create a set. Let's call it Test Set, and add some plugins to it. For the purposes of this demo, let's choose something simple. For example, Google Analytics plugin. After that, I need to create a service plan, which would automatically provision WordPress with this set of plugins. Let's name our service plan. On the Additional Services tab, I'm going to select Install WordPress with the test set, and let's encrypt certificate for a good measure. That's it. I can now create a customer with a hosting subscription. WordPress with my plugin set will be automatically provisioned on the new website. Let me just fill in some required fields here. Set the login and password for customer to access the control panel. Domain name for their website and the FTP username, and password. And over here I need to select the service plan I just created and click OK. If I log in as new customer, I can see that WordPress is already installed and my plugin is installed and already activated. That's it. This is all I wanted to show you today about the WordPress Toolkit. Before I go over your questions, I would like to show you a couple of resources that you might find useful. First is the Plesk landing page on Alibaba Cloud. You can find the recording of the first webinar there, links to Plesk images and resources, as well as free ebook on how to supercharge your web hosting management with Plesk and Alibaba Cloud. Second link is for Plesk University, a free learning portal where you can learn all about Plesk. The time restrictions of this webinar did not allow me to show everything WordPress Toolkit is capable of. If you want to learn more, head to Plesk University. We have a comprehensive course on Plesk WordPress Toolkit there. And now, what questions do you have about WordPress Toolkit? Alright, the first question is whether we have anything similar to the WordPress Toolkit available for other content management systems or e-commerce tools like Magento. We don't have anything for Magento, but we do have another extension which is called Joomla Toolkit, which does almost everything that WordPress Toolkit does, but for the Joomla content management system. So if you're using Joomla, you might want to take a look at it. The second question is, could you share on backup features of Plesk? Sure, let me just quickly share my screen with you. Plesk has built-in backup manager, which is available at Tools and Settings, Backup Manager, which allows you creating backups on the several levels. First level is the server level. You can create a full backup of the entire server, all of its business logic, all of the content, and so on. Also, the parts of those backups will be also available for customers who are working on this server. So that's an additional benefit. If they need to restore some pieces of their websites, they can do this without making backup themselves. You can schedule a backup for the entire server, and they will benefit from it because they have access to the separate parts of this server backup that belong to them. Plesk Backup Manager can create backups locally on the same server or into the cloud or FTP servers. We can as you can see, there are some promotions for our extensions for cloud backup. We support Dropbox, Google Drive, Amazon S3, and Microsoft OneNote. And of course, we do have a scheduler for backups, so that those backups can be done automatically. One of the great things about Plesk backups is that they are Plesk allows you to granularly restore content from them. So you don't have to restore the entire backup. You can just choose the type of object you want to restore. For example, files and domains for Plesk Club. Add the HTTP docs, for example, and restore just this directory without touching anything else that belongs to the same domain, same subscription, or other customers. As I can see, there are no more questions. So thank you all very much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and it was useful. The webinar recording will be up on the website tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye.